Hello friends and family, my name is Skylent, and today we are going to be talking about the record-breaking Blunder by the EA community team. Apparently, they did not say the right words, and we are definitely going to be talking about the very specific words that they used and in relation to the gaming community as a whole. But I think what I want to start this out with is saying that this is something that I've been talked about for, I think, 5 years now. Since I've been reviewing, especially free-to-play games, I've seen this trend becoming heavier and heavier, becoming more severe. And I think the just mainstream audience of gaming, or maybe even non-gaming, like just average people, are now hearing about loot boxes, know about loot boxes, or even buying loot boxes. So yeah, people making lots of money, but people are also getting really freaking mad because it has become unfun. I would argue maybe it was almost always unfun, but it has become unfun, and core parts of games are being locked behind RNG, paywalls, and a tremendous amount of grind. So that's the issue here, is that a post was made on Reddit that said, seriously, I paid $80 to have Vader locked. Now, apparently this game is actually pretty grindy, where you might have to grind like 40 hours to unlock some of this content in the game, which is really core content. I mean, playing as a hero character is a selling point for the game. You spend 60, 80 bucks to play the game, you want to have the option to play as one of the heroes. And this is a lobbied shooter game. And it's actually locked after all that. And locked behind a gratuitous grind. That also might be a key word there. Is there such a thing as a fair grind? I don't know, maybe debatable. But EA is actually responding to this post specifically, as well as the roaring wave of voices that is just kind of spreading across the internet. It has become a tsunami and is quaking the community, the gaming community, or maybe just the internet culture as a whole right now. And I think things are getting pretty freaking intense. So the EA community team decided to say some words. No, they did not pick the correct words. So let's see what they had to say. In response to seriously, I paid $80 to have Vader locked. The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. Fantastic. Amazing. That was so eloquently put. So beautiful. And we are going to be talking about that line a lot. We're going to be discussing that, my opinions, my feelings on that, and hopefully you join us in the comments below for that. But before we continue, I just want to mention that mainly because of that first line there, this post, and this is how it's world record breaking here, received negative 349,000 downvotes. And if you don't know how Reddit works, people post stuff and things, and if you like it, you upvote it, and it gets higher ranked. And if you downvote it, that means you didn't like it, right? And it gets lower ranked, and yeah, nobody will really see it then. So this was highly downvoted, which means overwhelmingly people disagree with what has been said here. And Reddit's a really popular site, considered the front page of the internet. Well, self-proclaimed, but it's almost kind of literal. So when something gets massively downvoted here on a very public subreddit, on a very public website, it's saying some things about the general community. But continuing on with the response. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course, attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon and as often as we can. So let me just go ahead and kind of translate what this actually has to say, if you don't mind, because I kind of understand this PR speak a little bit here. So immediately, the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. Now that is the main point of contention in this post, but it is actually like you don't need to translate this whatsoever. There is no metaphor that needs to be taken place here. It just is what it is. Really, actually, many players truly enjoy grind. Many players truly enjoy gambling. And there's many people in the world who really love getting high and drugs, and they become drunkards. And people really like gambling to an extent that they ruin their lives, and fast food, all of it, and drinking tons and tons of soda. And there's a number of things in this world that make us feel good because our brains are wired a specific way that isn't exactly good for us or good for like the world as a whole. You know, the overabundance of sugars in all of our food is not good. And this seems kind of tangential here. It seems like I'm just kind of rambling, but this is actually like just how it works. This is just how a lot of people's brains work. I would say most people's brains work like this. When you have an achievement, you get achievements, it makes you feel good, as empty as it is, or if they drip feed you content, even if it's barely any content, in some small little way, it does make you feel something. However, we're becoming smarter. We're able to think ahead of time, and we're able to actually use our brains a lot of the time, especially now with the internet age, hopefully, and we can start to see how broken these systems are. So yes, they will provide accomplishment, achievement for unlocking these heroes. But I just want to tell you that even though a lot of people think that's a complete bogus statement, the truth is you could just go look at the reviews of my MMOs that I've, actually did videos on or streamed. Look at those review videos and see some of the comments and how I might complain about grind, I might complain about monetization, and people will literally, almost word for word here actually, write what EA just wrote there. People truly do enjoy grinding, and they truly feel like they accomplish something whenever content is drip fed to them, just based off of how much effort, time, and money, they spend in these games. To some people, it is a positive. Now, do you think that's toxic? Do you think those types of players should not exist? I think so. I think those types of players need to get help. I think those types of players need to be taught how to play other kinds of games. Need to learn what the true definition of a game is. They need to go and do, frankly, something else. It is not healthy. This practice is not healthy for any individual. It's not healthy for the games themselves. The art of the game is being perverted, and as the whole community, we're obviously fed up with it. We're done with it. Stop. Now, moving on. It says here, as for the cost, we selected initial values, blah, blah, blah. They did some analysis. They did some research. They basically saw what players were doing, and they were trying to balance the game around that. They wanted a grind, and they were balancing the grind. But here's the thing. When a game has a certain monetization scheme, and I always try to make this very clear in my reviews, it creates a certain incentive. So what they're doing here is they are going to make the game as absolutely grindy as possible. Not as a tutorial, because some games can have a little grind or they have unlocks as like a tutorial, and you can balance a game around that. That is not what they are doing. That is maybe what they try to write it as. That is not what it is at all. What they're doing here, and we saw this in a couple of free-to-play games recently, such as Paladins, where they make the games just as grindy as the community will let them. What they want to see is the average player and how fast they unlock things. They probably want the average player to just unlock everything after 1 year time, so that then, okay, well, they beat the game, they accomplished it, they're going to go on to the next game. Yes, planned obsolescence here. They want games to, annually release, and for you to not create, an account or buy the game or, jump into the game. They don't want you to jump in and instantaneously do all the stuff in the game and then leave. And it doesn't matter if you have you bought the game. They want you to spend more time and more money as much as possible, even if it sacrifices the overall art and the true experience of the game. Because a lot of players, and you'll see this again in many comments on videos that I do, of people so proud of the hours they spend in video games. And so often we talk about the price to enjoyment ratio and how many players will say, well, this game gave me 60 hours, so it's worth this amount of money. But hours do not translate to entertainment value. So these games create artificial work. These artificial RNG gates are really popular. Loot box progression. They create these systems and it perverts the game. It ruins so to some people, it doesn't ruin the experience, but as you can see, overwhelmingly now, many people, the internet is getting tired of it. We don't want it. Games, it's an art, and we want it to be as pure as possible. Of course, we need to spend money. There needs to be certain monetization schemes, but there are some that can enhance gameplay, truly, and they can really pay for new content. This is the opposite. This incentivizes developers to create as little content as possible and drip feed you as little content as possible so that they can squeeze as much out of you as possible. This is not the correct way to go about things, and it should be obvious, and yet it's not. So it says here, we appreciate the candid feedback. And basically they kind of make a remark basically saying, yeah, the entire internet is up in arms. We know. Here's our response. You know, we're trying to do the best we can. However, the best you can, and it's clear to me from translating this text, that it's really just the best for you. What's the best for EA? Of course, to an extent, you have to make people happy, the right people happy. Of course, you got to have the bait for the whales, all that good stuff. But I don't feel like this is truly EA trying to create a game in a franchise that people love, adore, and trying to make the most artistic game possible and give the most amount of people the best product possible and as well deliver it to the most amount of people. I just don't feel that at all. It just really feels 110% a complete money grab that they made to look as pretty as possible in order to sell the money grab. Truly. So it says at the very end here, our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback. The thing is obvious. Duh, of course you will, because you want the game to sell. So you've actually probably been seeing this with games like Paladins and a few others, where the games were really grindy at first, and then they kind of slightly toned it down. Or they're really trying to push the boundaries, and of course they listen to the community, but it's not like they get rid of the systems entirely. They never do that. It'll always be as grindy as the community will let them. They'll always do their checks and balances, they'll have their spreadsheets out, and they hire some really smart people to analyze the market trends, and of course they literally looked at the stats in-game during betas. They want to see how much people will spend, how many people are playing, and they're really just there to make money. It is not for the art or the love of the game. These are not players like me and you who have made a game that they love and they want you to play and all of us to, you know, just jump in and just have fun. It's nothing like that. This game is not a monument whatsoever. It looks beautiful and it might actually technically be very advanced. But as a video game, that is not enough. The video game here, Battlefront 2, is completely perverted. It's, in my opinion, ruined, and you should not purchase it. In fact, I do know many people who do review movies and movie games or just video games, period. They're going to completely skip this. And I myself, I played the beta and, well, I did my video on that. Really half-hearted, but in the end, seriously, I see what everyone's talking about. I've seen this trend coming, but I'm actually surprised at how full force, how frontal this assault has been, specifically with this game. How severe it has actually affected this particular game and this year with AAA games. I can't believe that they didn't try to be a little bit sneakier. And the thing is that if you just go on mobile, you kind of know what that's already like, right? You go on mobile, basically the entire market is just filled with dirt. There's very rarely a few gems, and you really got to dig for that. And it looks like just gaming as a whole is going to turn into that, unless we really make a big stink about it. So this is me kind of reporting on this because obviously it's what I've been doing for 5 years now. This is something I've been screaming and have been getting downvoted for the past 5 years. I've had videos disliked into oblivion for the past 5 years. I've had people give me death threats for the past 5 years reviewing games like this because it's part of the game and it's fun. Why you gotta be a downer? And in a number of different ways you can say it, but the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. There's a difference. There's a difference between what EA is doing and something that you might see in a normal RPG. You know, Dark Souls. You know, something you might see that's actually balanced around gameplay. Not balanced around microtransactions that make EA money. That perverts the art, it perverts the game, it ruins the experience for most players. The players that it doesn't ruin the experience for, they are entirely ignorant, or they are actually infected with, I don't know, maybe a disease, some sort of addiction, and honestly, you need help. So there's a number of different games I would love to call out, and I will continue to call out as I always have. If you guys want to see that content, please pull some eyeballs over to the Patreon, where I take that money and I will be purchasing video games in order to do reviews. The next big review, after we just did Battle right here, we're going to move on to Crowfall, most likely. And Anyways, friends and family, I definitely ranted just a little bit too long, probably, but I really wanted to get this off my chest because this is something that is plaguing currently not just AAA games, but has been a disease in many different genres for a long time. And I really want to put a spotlight on it and continue to shine it until it's eradicated. Thank you so much, and I hope you have fun. My name is Skylent, and I'll see you in the next one.